Dreda Say Mitchell is a force of nature, a hugely talented and successful author. She's a broadcaster and she has numerous other strings to her bow. I'm intrigued to know what she's going to tell us.
Keep going, just keep going. Go from the first page to the last page. Don't do much revisions because there's nothing like getting that big first draft done. Gosh, I'm going to have to say Blood Sister at the moment because that's my new first book of my new trilogy set in East London, the Flesh and Blood trilogy. And it's about a group of working class women living on a housing estate. So it's family saga with a very dark criminal edge. And I just enjoyed writing about these three generations of women over a 40-year period. Okay, I'm very strict. I used to be a teacher, so I've got a lot of discipline in me, and I always suspect there's an inspector at the door waiting to see my lesson plan. So I'm really a morning person, so I get up at 7 o'clock, have my tea and stuff, and then I'm at my computer from 7:30 till about 3 o'clock, and I probably will write 2 scenes, which usually turns into about 3,000 words a day. So I usually work Monday to Friday, and I've got my writing partner I work with as well, Tony. So yeah, if we stick to our regime, we really can get a book done very, very quickly. But we treat it as work, and I suspect we treat it as work because we both come from very working class backgrounds where you roll your sleeves up and you graft. Okay, one book that inspired me was The Colour Purple, Alice Walker's book. Pulitzer Prize winning book. I read that in my mid-20s, and I remember crying. I remember feeling joy, so many different emotions. And also, when I was growing up, there weren't many books that you could pick up that were about young black women. Back in the day, black role models in terms of posters, books, characters, it was hard to kind of find. And there you've got this book about a young black girl, Celie, 14 years old, and it wins the Pulitzer Prize, and it blew my mind. I tell you what my guilty pleasure is. This really shocks people because my books are usually quite urban, they're quite dark, they're about the flaws in people. In my spare time, I love to read romance. I love a happy ever after. Just give me a journey with a happy ever after. And that includes reading Mills and Boon, historical romance, contemporary romance. I love the works. And why? Because it makes me feel good. And everyone should have something in their life that just makes them feel good. Yeah, get up. That's a pretty big ritual. So get up in the morning. And then after that, actually, I do have a ritual. I usually will have a cup of matcha green tea. I always do it for 5 minutes. I sit down drinking my tea, which is never hot. It's always just warm tea. And I have a bit of a meditation, getting myself ready for the day, thanking the world for still being here because my mum died when she was 50, which was a shock. And so I thank, God and life for being here every day. And then I go onto my computer and I write. I'm not one of these people, I can't write with music. That's a distraction. I need to get into the world because I'm a visual learner. But I need to sit down and I need to do it. And usually I just keep going for about 5 hours before I even realise, oh my gosh, it's time already, really. Which is great to stop at 2 o'clock because if I stop at 2 o'clock, I still got a big chunk of the day when I can, put my feet up, go and do other stuff, watch Netflix, Amazon, which I do. These are my other guilty pleasures as well. And I live near a street market, so I often just go for a wander down the street market. Yeah. No, I had a fabulous history teacher at school, and you know what it's like, you're inspired by teachers. So I kind of wanted to do something around history. And in the end, I went and I did an African history degree because I felt I want to know more about black people and black history, and ended up being a teacher. But I grew up in a community, in the East End of London where people told stories. People were such gifted storytellers. Often people like my dad who left school before they were 16. Wow, they could really tell a story. So the love of a good story was really with me, and also characters. And that life kind of growing up in East London, I wanted to tell some of those stories because very often I feel that working class lives are not explored. We don't really want to talk about them. And so it was only later on in life when I was, you know, teaching, and it was in 2001, and I remember saying to my partner Tony, you know what, Tone, I really want to see if I can write, because I've only got an O-level, back in the day when you got O-levels, grade C in English language and English literature. And so I did, so I went and did a creative writing course, and here I am today. Oh, it's crime literary or not? It's crackers, you know. It's storytelling. That's what people are want to read, is good stories. So it should be always questions about stories, not about different categories of writing. And this notion that there's this highfalutin type of writing that we're all aiming for called literary, I find really, really bizarre. No, I've never. I'm very, very careful. I'm over the top careful, paranoia careful. So things are, you know, saved on memory sticks. I email stuff to myself. I email stuff to my partner. No, because I just can't. Oh, that would just break my heart. Break my heart. Well, I'm very lucky in that I now write with my partner Tony, and often we've got a series of characters that we're writing about. So first and foremost, get to know who are those characters, who are the people you want to write about, because essentially it's those people who will drive the books, their motivation, their flaws, what's happening in their lives. So you can't really do a plot without knowing who your people are. And then it's about what themes we want to write about as well. So, you know, we're very interested in, first and foremost, the book has got to be entertaining. We don't want to do any of this soapboxing stuff, you know, talking about things. But underneath, what is the theme about? Is it about children in care? Are we writing about a woman who ends up with her back against the wall and goes to a money lender instead of going to the police, or she can't go to the bank? It's those kind of things that happen to people in kind of everyday life. And then myself and Tony, we sit down religiously and we will plot out our book. We will plot it from hopefully beginning to end. And usually what we know is what happens at the beginning and what happens at the end. And if you know what happens at the end, it's easy then to make your way towards that end. And of course, you've got to have drama in it, tension, so it's up and down for the main character. And it's always about, is the main character getting closer to what they're after, i.e. solving their problem, or are they stepping back? So it's that kind of yin and yang. But at the same time as that yin and yang, what is the personal conflict that's going in them? So it's about a character who's got an external conflict, but also an internal conflict that are going at the same time. And when we've done that, then we kind of divvy up the work a bit every week, and we go off and write. And for us, you see, that's a real big safety net. Tony calls it our Christmas tree. You know, we've got our Christmas tree ready. So usually if we do that, we can then write a book in, you know, have a good draft done in 2 and 3 months. And there's nothing like a feeling of, I can get it done. So I think we're plotters. I know some people start writing and then they go for it. We just couldn't do it that way. So yeah, so that's the way we're building success for ourselves.
Thanks so much, Dreda. It's always so terrific to talk to you.